Is it a work? Is it a shoot? Grayson Waller win off on live TV. We got to talk about that plus so much more. This is the Ango Show. We got a big one. Yes. Welcome back to TAS. Don't forget we're giving away this championship belt at 100,000 subscribers, so you might want to click subscribe for that. But guys, we're jumping right into it. Elektra Lopez last night on NXT. They had this, amazing battle royal match. And guess what? Elektra Lopez got eliminated, but who did she get eliminated by? It was her tag team partner, Lola Vice, who is carrying the contract to become a potential women's champion. That's right, she won the breakout tournament. Lola Vice, obviously formerly known as Valerie Lareda from Bellator MMA. She made the decision to end the tag team, but was this a decision that really came from Lola Vice? Yeah, I mean, she did eliminate Elektra Lopez, but it looks like WWE could be planning something here. Obviously, if you're looking on SmackDown and you're paying attention to the storylines with Zelina Vega, the LWO, Santos Escobar, and everything that they got cooking, it looks like Elektra Lopez is going back to Santos Escobar. And Santos Escobar, obviously with Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, makes a lot of sense for Elektra Lopez to join Santos Escobar. She was part of Legado del Fantasma, but now Legado del Fantasma looks a little bit different because Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde are part of the LWO. So it looks like Elektra Lopez will be joining Santos Escobar on the main roster. This definitely levels the playing field, especially when you have Zelina Vega with the LWO. But then what really becomes intriguing here is the Royal Rumble. Does Andrade come back at the Royal Rumble as a surprise return, surprise entrant? And I actually think that will be the case. I think Andrade enters the Royal Rumble, and then when he enters the Royal Rumble, that sets up a major program with Santos Escobar. And I think that's going to be a very nice spot. It's going to get a very big pop. And at the end of the day, when you start building towards faction wars, I think fans will enjoy it. This is definitely one of the strong storylines on SmackDown, so it definitely intrigues me. And I think if you could get an NXT talent like Elektra Lopez involved in the mix, it just benefits everybody. Look, I think this is good. I think Lola Vice doesn't really need Elektra Lopez, and then on top of that, I think Elektra Lopez is good enough to be on the main roster, especially in this type of role. So it intrigues me. One of my favorite storylines happening on TV, and nonetheless, I enjoy it. One last thing I do want to mention, though. Lola Vice winning the breakout tournament contract. I'm curious to see if she cashes it in at the Vengeance Day pay-per-view, or does she end up failing her cash-in because she doesn't have Elektra Lopez by her side? It does add a little bit of an intrigue to that specific scenario. But nonetheless, we'll keep it moving. Guys, I really want to talk about this. Remember Retribution? Yeah, it was the faction that was taking place during the Thunderdome era of WWE. Obviously, a crowd wasn't there. I've been on record saying I actually enjoyed the Retribution storyline. I appreciated the Retribution storyline. I was happy that Mustafa Ali was the leader of Retribution. I wasn't too much of a fan of them giving them, weird-ass names and the masks and stuff, but I always like storylines like this. It probably makes sense as to why I also enjoy the AEW Devil storyline, whatever it may be. Not everybody's going to be happy with this, but Mason Madden, you guys might remember him, obviously from the Maximum Male Models. This guy was just on a interview with Steve Fall, and he was talking a little bit about this. And what I found very fascinating about this interview was that it was Fox's idea for them to not run with this faction. And basically, the whole group was inspired by the Antifa. Madden basically said it was because of Fox. He says, the way I understand it, we were meant to be Antifa. When Fox, because it was on SmackDown, found out that there was an Antifa angle on SmackDown on their Fox program, they said, hey, stop. And then confusion happened. They were like, how do we pivot from this? Because they had already dedicated a lot of time to this angle. And then they gave us supervillain masks. And I'm like, cool, let's lean into being, I really want to be like Power Rangers. Yeah, I want to be putties. We looked crazy, but I feel like there's a vibe for that. Guys, it's so interesting. It doesn't shock me that Fox canceled these plans. It doesn't shock me that they, obviously, for a lot of obvious reasons, it made a lot of sense for them not to run this angle. But it is shocking that WWE decided to, hey, let's keep the group, but let's all give them some really weird names and some really weird masks. And honestly, I think that is actually kind of what ruined Retribution for me. They didn't need to have different names. They didn't need to be, Shane Thorne was Slapjack. Like, you didn't need to do that. I think this was one of those things, even if they didn't want it to be a group like Antifa, they didn't have to have these weird names and these weird gimmicks associated with their thing. They're a villainous group. They're attacking people. They're seeking retribution. At the end of the day, like, I don't know. I feel like it was just a really weird decision. I think also what's very interesting about Retribution, and let's just be completely transparent about this. Just because I like it, I understand why people don't like it, right? But I like characters and groups and the big reveals and stuff like that. And I thought this was an interesting time period because you had Dijak and Mia Yim and obviously, you had Brennan Williams, Mason Madden, right? You had Shane Thorne. You had a group of people who weren't necessarily known to the main roster. Mustafa Ali eventually becomes the leader. Like, there could have been so much with this group had it not been gimmicked so crazy odd. It had just such a weird vibe once they were wearing the masks and stuff. But for me personally, the way I kind of looked at this was they didn't have to change anything about these people, and it still would have been a good angle. But it always intrigues me as to what it could have been with a live audience. That is the one thing that I found interesting while listening to this interview. Brennan Williams made it very clear. Like, they had to look at Twitter to see how people were feeling. And we all know that Twitter is not a great place to gain insight from a fan base that is just negative and not even genuine half the time when they're criticizing a product. So definitely one of those things I found interesting. But yeah, this was all because of Fox. All right, guys, Grayson Waller. Oh my God, this guy is getting everybody talking about him because for those who may have missed it, LA Knight and Grayson Waller were part of the Sunrise Australia morning talk show. They're promoting WWE Elimination Chamber in Perth. And basically, one of the hosts asked Grayson Waller to, show us a signature move. They asked LA Knight or Grayson Waller to show a signature move. And then one of the floor producers, whatever, gets up and he just starts like making a mockery kind of. And Grayson Waller literally just lost it. He went off on him, said, hey, like I'm not going to hit you with a fake punch. It'll be a real punch, like all this stuff. A lot of people are wondering if this is a work, if this is, if this is real life. But the way I look at it is, Grayson Waller is that good where he can make you think this is actually happening. This is real. This is not scripted. And I like the fact that the way that Grayson Waller and LA Knight carry themselves, first and foremost, it's truly incredible to see. They are legitimate talent for WWE when they do these media runs. But everybody's wondering if this is real or fake. And I think that's kind of the great mystery about it. It could be a work. You know what I mean? And that's fantastic. But at the same time, too, I could see where they felt disrespected. I could 100% understand that, and it wouldn't shock me if this really was real. And, at the end of the day, that's what makes compelling TV. Now, if this is real, does Grayson Waller get in trouble? I sure as hell hope not. He shouldn't be. But I do think a lot of interviewers and mainstream media, regardless, I think they don't really understand the wrestling business. And that's really what this is about. They don't understand the wrestling business. And wrestlers, every time they get interviewed by interviews, in these interviews, it always comes off just very boring and stuff like that. And they don't think it's real and they make a mockery of it. And I just don't like that, personally speaking. But nonetheless, it is what it is, my friends. Grayson Waller went off on live TV. Real or fake, it doesn't matter. It's entertaining. And everybody's talking about Grayson Waller and LA Knight. And that's yeah. Let us talk to you, right? Yeah. All right. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching TAS. Peace.